Hey guys, what is going on? Adam Arif here from Beyond Educated. Sticking with the theme of health and nutrition, I wanted to make my first video on weight loss management. Let's do this! So firstly, I wanted to make sure that I'm not misleading you guys. There is no quick fix. It's also important to say that your crash diets, your fad diets, such as the cabbage diet or your no carbohydrates for X amount of time or any diets like that, are okay in terms of if you need to lose a small amount of weight quickly before a holiday and you want to get in shape and get that beach body. The issue with those diets is that they aren't good for your body in the long run and they aren't sustainable. So what tends to happen is you'll lose weight on a crash course diet and then you'll put it back on like that. So let's get down to the basics, and that is, what is a calorie? Simply put, a calorie is a unit of energy. So your cells need energy to pump blood around the body, and your cells need energy so your muscles can contract. So your body gets calories from three different sources: proteins, carbohydrates, and your fat. Your body gets 4 calories per gram of protein, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, and 9 calories per gram of fat. The basic of that information is useful because it gives you a determinant of how many grams of proteins, carbohydrates and fats that you can have in order that you can determine the number of calories that you are consuming, and ultimately, as we'll go on to discuss, create yourself a calorie deficit, which is going to facilitate your weight loss. The next thing that you need to be aware of is everybody has a BMR, and BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is the basic level that your body consumes in terms of calories if you did not do anything. If you woke up, in order to keep your body regulated at 37 degrees C, in order to keep your lungs pumping, your body pumping blood around your muscles, you need to maintain that basic calorie amount, and that is called your BMR. It's really important that you understand what your BMR is, because otherwise you won't be able to create yourself a calorie deficit, which is going to be the main thing that's going to result in your weight loss. Quite simply put, you calculate your BMR. There's a few ways to do this. One of the formulas is to multiply your weight by 10, add on 6.25 times your height in centimeters, and subtract 5 times your age plus 5. Now guys, without a doubt, the easiest way to calculate your BMR is you go to Google and type in daily burn, calculate BMR. The top hit will come up with a website called dailyburn.com. The link is in the description below if you want to scroll down and access that link. Now on this website, you will see that it provides some more information on calculating your BMR. If you scroll down the page, it says here the method of calculating the Mifford-St. Jeor equation. And if you scroll down even further, it will allow you to calculate your BMR by inputting the numbers, which in this case for me is 154 pounds, 68 inches, and my age, which is 31. You hit calculate, and quite simply, it comes up with your BMR. Much easier than doing it any other method. The other benefit of this option is that it enables women to calculate their BMR, which is calculated slightly different from males. The next thing to be aware of is your activity multiplier. Generally speaking, if you have a relatively inactive job that leaves you at a desk most of the time, you will find that a 1.2 multiplier will be sufficient for you going out and about, moving from the desk backwards and forward. If you're in construction or an industry that is quite labour intensive and that is your work, you might want to apply a higher multiplier such as 1.9. Okay guys, now you have your BMR, which in my case is 1620. You can multiply it by your activity multiplier. I do exercise 3 to 5 times a week, but I don't do a lot of exercise at work, so let's go for a roughly 1.4 seems a relatively accurate idea of the calories that I use. Stick that. Gives me 2,268 calories, which means that as long as I am training 3 to 5 times a week and I'm doing light, non-strenuous exercise at work, that is the amount of calories that I can consume And if I consume 2,268 calories, I will maintain my body weight. Anything that's a deficit on that over a long term, I will lose body weight, and anything that's surplus to that, I will increase my body weight. So the next thing you need to determine is your calorie deficit. Now, bearing in mind that 1 pound of body fat roughly contains 3,500 calories. Now, a lot of people don't realise that if you want to create a body fat loss of 1 pound per week, then your calorie deficit will need to be 500 calories per day. So if your BMR is 2,000, you need to be aiming around 1,500 calories a day. Now, it isn't exactly like for like in terms of your weight loss, because there may be fluctuations in your body weight through the amount of muscle that you have and the amount of water retention that you have, but generally speaking, that's not a bad rule. So you've created a calorie deficit. Let's say it's 250 calories a day on a 2,000 calorie BMR. So you're going to take in 1,750 calories. The next step is pretty simple, and it is to count your calories and make sure that you are not consuming more than 1,750 calories. And this is the really difficult bit that people struggle with, and the reason is a lot of people don't realise the calories that are in their food, and a lot of people don't check the calories and add them up at the end of the day. Now, in the current age of mobile apps and nutritional data on food, this is incredibly easy, but it does take a bit of habit and getting used to. I personally use a fitness tracker called MyFitnessPal. So at this stage, don't worry too much about where your calories come from. As I mentioned previously, you can get your calories from fats, proteins and carbohydrates. Now, that is not an excuse to go and eat 10 donuts at 200 calories to get your 2,000 calories per day. Donuts. Don't worry too much about where they come from, but what is important is that you get a reasonable split of carbohydrates, fats and protein. So the next thing to do really, implement your program, implement your calorie deficit. So you should have understood what a calorie is, calculated your BMR, worked out your calorie deficit. You should now be tracking your calories, and once you've done that, stick to your plan. And if you stick with it consistently over a long period of time, I guarantee you success. I guarantee the weight will soon start to fall off. There is one thing here that you need to be mindful of, and that is sticking to your goals, sticking to your calorie deficit overall. Now, day to day isn't too important, but what is quite important is weekly. So if you have a bad day and you do eat 10 donuts, donuts, then what is really important is that the next day you reset and you start again. Because if you do that for a whole week, I'll tell you now that that calorie deficit that you're burning off the following week is only making up for the previous week, so you are 2 weeks behind. Anyway guys, that is it from me today. I hope this video has shed some light on what a calorie is, how to get a calorie deficit, and how to lose weight. Good luck with your nutrition and weight loss goals. Stick with it, be consistent. Keep me posted on how you get along. And remember, stay educated.